Hi. Wait, I'm going to scooch in.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Marx Library Live.
Yeah.
I like how we've given up on saying what week it is.
I know. Like, I don't even know. Like, I think it's not nearly as far into the semester as I thought it was.
It's still February, so...
Yeah, why does it even feel... It doesn't feel like that. Like, I guess it's hot outside. Freezing in my office. And it doesn't feel like February, and it feels like it should be, like, at least late March.
Yes. And not even Tuesday, like Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah.
Thursday.
No, it's Tuesday in February. I feel like January is one of those months that, like, is 2 months. Like, it feels like 5 months in 1 month. Anyway.
Oh, who are we?
Okay.
So, those of you who are... Do we say tuning in? Like, it sounds like a radio.
New here?
Those of you who are new to the show, I am Stephanie Evers-Ard. I am the social sciences librarian here at the Marx Library, and this is...
I am Beth and Shepherd. I am the Arts and Humanities librarian here at the Marx Library at the University of South Alabama.
You hesitated, so I didn't know if you were having...
I was looking at something, the guy in pajamas caught my eye, and I was like...
He looks cozy.
He looks all cozy. I've never understood that, though. Like, I've never understood how much longer does it take...
To just put on
the
pants?
jeans, which you know are on the floor of your room anyway. Like, I never understood that. Anyway, if you're a pajama wearer, more power to you, I guess. I don't know. I just never thought, like, I'm going to wear these out.
No. I never did either.
I mean, like, the jeans that had been on the floor for, like, a week. Sure.
Yeah, sure.
But,
also, don't pajamas, like, lose their appeal if you wear them all day?
Right. Like, when you get home, what do you put on? Jeans?
I know. You're like, well, I've been cozy all day. How do I get more cozy?
Snuggie. Okay. So, we're totally random. Today we're going to talk about something that is just...
As opposed to the nothing, though.
It is just tittillating. But...
It is important, and I have been getting questions about it. You probably not so much.
I don't really get that many questions about it, because
Yeah.
it doesn't really, really kind of pertain to my discipline.
No, it doesn't.
At all.
Like, anything? Is there anything?
Yes. In some situations when we do interdisciplinary research, questions do come up. But it's generally not... Well, we should talk about what we're talking about.
So what is this? What is this mystery topic? We're going to talk about the difference between qualitative and quantitative research.
Yes. So maybe we should talk a little bit about what they are, and then talk about, like, maybe why it's more...
It's something that I see in the social sciences. Beth doesn't see very much in humanities.
In the humanities. So really, we should probably start with there are two different research kind of methodologies, right?
Right. So there are two different ways to approaching the collection of research.
Do you like that was my gathering
data?
Yes. And so two different approaches. The first one's kind of easy because it's quantitative.
Right.
Quantitative,
like a quantity.
So you're counting.
A number. Yeah. So it deals with numbers. Deals with counting things like, really any number.
Yeah.
But let's talk about qualitative. I think that then it'll be easier to compare.
So qualitative.
Yeah. So
no numbers.
No numbers, right. Qualitative is going to deal with, like, less than...
Numerically represented data.
Right, yeah.
So, like, example, if you ask someone in a focus group, so a focus group is a type of qualitative data collection. So if you said, like, Stephanie, how do you feel about this upcoming election?
Right, so that's going to be qualitative because you can't, like, assign a numerical
Stephanie's not going to say, I feel 4, right? Like, that's not what she's going to say. She's going to say, like, I feel excited, anxious, trepidation, whatever, right?
Right. But if the question were, like...
On a scale of 1 to 5, how anxious do you feel about this upcoming election?
5. I mean, then that would be an example of quantitative data.
Right. So,
because we have assigned it a numerical value.
Right.
And I really like that example because sometimes qualitative and quantitative get split into feelings and numbers, but that's not the case. And that's actually one of the questions I got recently, is a student was really confused because it was a quantitative study asking people how they felt about something.
But if you assign it a numerical value,
then it's quantitative.
Then it's a quantitative. Right.
So don't fall into that trap of thinking that if it deals with feelings that all that is qualitative. That's just dealing with things that cannot be neatly assigned a numerical value. So things like interviews or focus groups. Yeah.
There's some other qualitative...
Open-ended questions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. quantitative data tends to be, Okay, we're back.
Okay.
So the hard sciences tend to do a whole lot more quantitative data, right?
So they're measuring things, like if you're measuring temperature.
Or like combustion rates or tensile metal
physics,
strengths.
All quantitative.
Yeah, they generally aren't like, how does one feel about the God particle? Like, it doesn't really, like...
They don't really care.
They don't really care.
Yeah.
They just want to know, like, how stuff blows up and how to split things and how long you're going to... Like, that kind of thing.
But in the social sciences, it gets a lot messier because they are dealing with how people feel, people's responses to things, but they also want to collect those things that can be quantified. So you often get something that uses a little bit of both.
Yeah, and which is called a mixed methods. Right. Education folks tend to use a lot of mixed method studies. So they'll, and this is where Stephanie was saying, like, humanities generally don't see methodology questions as much because we generally don't deal with research methods in the typical, like, traditional kind of sense, like Stephanie's talking about. But education folks do. And so some of my people who, some of their research kind of will dovetail interdisciplinarily with education.
Right, because they're professors and they're writing about their own experiences as an educator.
Right.
Yeah.
Or there, for example, some theater people that are interested in whether or not arts curriculum in higher education or in secondary education, has a impact on test scores. That's going to be a quantitative data.
Because they're actually going to have those numbers.
Right. So it's important, though, that not just social sciences folks who deal with kind of these research methods all the time understand the research methodology, right? So my theater people who generally don't do that a whole lot still need to know how to understand and read a quantitative study.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they're going to need to use that information.
Right, because if they want to make the case that arts education is important in secondary education, they have to understand the research to support that argument, right?
So if you are given an assignment to find an article that has quantitative data, you're looking for those numbers. Even if it is like talking about someone's perspective or their attitudes or things like that, those are still things that can be measured.
Yeah, you'll see things like in a quantitative, like to slow it down, quantitative study, you'll see things like standard deviation and your mean and things like that you generally don't see.
You'll see math, basically.
Yeah, like your results section will have maths.
It's going to have like
statistical math.
Yeah. Which is awful, but that's how it's done. Right.
So stats, like research stats, essentially.
So those of you who are in the hard sciences or the social sciences...
More power to you. Okay. So Stephanie, if I were a student and I have an assignment to just find a qualitative study on a topic, is there a way for me to easily just press a button in the database?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay.
That would be awesome.
Murder.
So, I mean, really, it's just, and you really don't want to search that way anyway because you're going to be looking for something particular. So you're just going to have to, like, wade through a few things that are relevant.
So what's a kind of easy way if I am, nothing's easy, but less arduous way, if I'm a student to, what if the internet is broken? Okay. What's a quick way? Like, what do I do if I'm looking for a qualitative step? Like,
I'm not sure what you're asking.
So, like, are there ways to quickly identify in an article whether I'm looking at, like, are there sections of an article?
Oh, okay, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So, first of all, look at what the research question is because they're going to say pretty early on what they're intending to do. So, if they are measuring, assessing, calculating, those are all, like, number words. But if they are describing, identifying, maybe, I'm trying to think of another good...
They, like, will make it a tip to understand.
Yes. So that's where the idea of feelings comes in a little bit. Those are more likely to be qualitative.
Yeah. And a good place, especially in a social sciences style article, right, would be to look at the methods section of, and they'll lay out...
If you find that little methods section, it's going to usually use the word qualitative,
or
quantitative, or mixed methods.
Yeah.
And remember, a lot of research, especially in the social sciences, does use mixed methods.
Yeah, so they'll start with like a qualitative study, for example, and they'll say like on a scale of 1 to a bunch of questions, like a Likert scale. So like 1 to 5, how do you feel about this, or whatever. And then they'll often do like a kind of a thing is like a follow-up focus group from respondents, right? So they take a small portion of that larger like sample of that census, and they say like,
or they might take something that people say during,
right, and they're like, oh, that is interesting. We want to know more about that, and you have to do it through like an interview process, right? So it's qualitative.
But you might have noticed when you take surveys that a lot of it will be like quantitative, and then there'll be a little open-ended thing at the end, and that's very often taken to use as qualitative data.
Yeah. Which is a whole nother, like, if you guys are interested in how to like deal with qualitative data,
there's a really excellent resource that I recommend to my students, Sage Research Methods.
Oh, cool, yeah.
Yeah, which has all kinds of cool stuff, including videos that explain the difference between the methods. There is something, I wrote it down because I can't ever remember the name of the thing. Oh, it's the methods map.
Oh, cool, that's neat. I don't think I've ever seen that.
Yeah, it is so cool. If you go into Sage Research Methods, not the Sage.
Yeah.
But go up to the top, and on the right hand it says like Research Help or Research Starter.
Oh, cool.
And then underneath is something called Methods Map.
That's neat. Okay.
And it is cool because it gives you like this little map.
Aptly named.
Yeah, like a, what do you call it? Like web, like a thought web.
Yeah, like what do you call that?
And you trace out like what kind of research you're interested in and how it all connects.
That's neat.
It is pretty cool.
Okay, that's pretty cool. So it can help you like figure out what methodology you want to use.
That's exactly what it does.
That's
so
pretty
like if
cool.
you're like, I'm interested in qualitative, and then it'll have like, well, what are you interested in?
These are your options.
Interviews, surveys, whatever.
Okay, that's neat.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay, that's kind of cool. That's very cool. Okay, so anything else? I know you have some awesome notes here. Anything else we want to say?
We covered it all, really. I just basically brought it in case I blanked out, which I did on Methods Map.
It was so like common sense names.
I know, it just seems too obvious.
Because normally in like library stuff, it's nothing ever is representative of what it actually is. Like
Nimbus thinking.
Yeah, or loud cloud.
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
What is it? What?
Yeah. So that's a very like brief introduction to quantitative research. Yeah. Anything else we want to say about it?
If you're seeking it and you're having trouble, just let us know, because we know it's tricky to find. It can be tricky to find, and sometimes those articles are always those articles are difficult to read.
Yeah,
it can be difficult to determine
I find that just my own. Before library school, I didn't really have a background in research statistics, like stats for research. And so like reading quantitative articles was always sort of mind-numbing, because I never was like, what does this stand for? Like, what is an N of 1? You know what I mean? Like, what does this N equal?
And the good thing is, if you're using those articles, you don't necessarily have to understand.
No, just read the discussion.
Right. I mean, seriously, especially at undergraduate level, look at the methodology, make sure you're looking at the right kind of thing.
Right.
Look at the discussion, look at the conclusions.
And then the discussion is where they take the results, which is often the math heavy part,
and
right?
Then they explain
it for you.
They're like, we know nobody understands this math.
They draw conclusions and inferences and stuff like that, right? Which is the important, really, the whole point of the thing.
So I guess the lesson is, don't get stressed out if you see a chart full of like,
I get sweaty.
Numbers and tildes and
you're like, what does
this even mean?
Yeah.
I quit.
But if you guys are interested in that kind of stuff, we could maybe get somebody on here who could talk a little bit about like finding statistical resources and things like that. That definitely would not be me. But
I probably could wing it, but if we could bring in a guest, that'd be even better.
Yeah. So if that's something you're interested in, let us know.
Yeah.
It may y'all be like, no, we're good. But
no.
We're good. We'll set this one out. So yeah, not a super sexy topic, but one that's pretty important.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So I think we covered everything everyone ever needs to know.
Ever needs to know that they've just written multiple books on qualitative research, and then a separate one
just to say
entirely.
Sage Research Methods alone has thousands of videos, so
I mean, we covered it.
We
nailed it.
Sorry, Sage.
What is it?
You're out of business.
Bammed it.
Is that new?
I think so.
Oh, cool. She's the cool one.
No, as I just said, I think so. Yeah,
I think so.
Totally cool. Okay, we're right at time, too. I'm so proud of us.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you for following us on Instagram. Encourage your friends to do the same so you get more quality content.
More quality content on qualitative research.
Nice.
Oh, I'm so cool.
You are like extra cool today.
It's disgusting.
We are also on Twitter and Facebook, and we will not be here next week because it is Mardi Gras.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yes. So have a fun,
safe,
and
wonderful Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
And we will see you guys in 2 weeks. If you
Yeah.
have suggestions, questions for suggestions for topics or questions about anything library related, don't hesitate to reach out.
yeah, let us know. If you want something more interesting than qualitative and
I
quantitative.
think it ended up being very interesting.
And we'll wave at all the people who waved at us.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks for watching.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.